Earth science again? Oh, I like earth science, duh. All right, so this is Norris Teaches Science, another Earth Science Edition video starring me, Mr. Norris. We're still talking about the biosphere, and today we're going to talk about organisms. Now, the video goal for today is I describe the different organisms found in biomes and in ecosystems. Now, when you talk about the organisms in a biome or an ecosystem, you're going to talk about them as either being producers or consumers. A producer is anything that makes their own food or through photosynthesis. Producers are plants. Anything that's considered a plant. So plants, trees, flowers, moss, uh, also algae. Algae is a plant. So that would be considered a producer as well. They have to make their own food through photosynthesis. Consumers get their energy by eating other organisms. Either they eat producers or they eat other consumers. So we're talking about animals here. Animals are consumers. Now, what eats what? This is very generalized. There are other categories about what eats what, but we're going to talk about the three major components. Herbivores, they only eat producers or plants. So we're talking about like cows, sheep, deer, grasshoppers. Those are herbivores. Carnivores eat only other consumers. They eat meat, right? They eat something like that. So you're looking at like lions, hawks, and spiders. They eat other things. Omnivore, other animals. Omnivores eat both producers and plants and consumers. So they eat meat and they eat plants. So bears are omnivores. They eat berries, they eat salmon, they eat a bunch of other stuff too. Those are just the ones that come to mind when I think of a bear. Pigs are the same way. And humans, most humans are omnivores. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a steak, but give me a Caesar salad too, and I will devour that at the same time. So, what is a food chain? When you have all these animals eating things, eating each other, you have a food chain, which is a sequence of energy transfers. Energy transfers from one organism to the next as organisms eat each other. So, you have flowers, then you have a caterpillar. The arrows here show the direction energy is flowing. So the caterpillar eats the flower and the energy goes to the caterpillar. Then the frog eats the caterpillar and the energy goes to the frog. Then the energy goes to the snake and then the energy goes to the owl. The flower is the producer, then you have your primary consumer, your secondary consumer, your tertiary consumer, and then another consumer up here would be the fourth. I don't really know what that term is, or I can't say it. So the arrows in a food chain show where energy is going. What is a food web? It's a group of interrelated food chains. So we take all the food chains and we throw them together and link everything in. There's no one path, so it shows like a web, and it shows feeding relationships in an ecosystem. So what is a trophic level? So now that we have all these animals eating each other, blah blah blah, we have something called trophic pyramids or trophic levels. So each step is a transfer of energy. So at the bottom, you're going to have your producers, and then above it, you're going to have your herbivores. Energy is going to be transferred. The thing is, only 10% of the energy is transferred between each animal. Most of it's lost to heat. So producers have the most energy in them, while carnivores would not have a lot of energy in them from the food they eat. So when we look at it, at the bottom is producers, then you have your primary consumers, which are your herbivores, your secondary consumers, which can be your carnivores or omnivores, and then you have your tertiary consumers, which are most likely going to be carnivores. So let's look here. I have a pyramid, and we're going to have some organisms, and we're going to make the food web and then place them into the energy pyramid or trophic level. So we have carrots up here. What eats carrots? All right, I want you to pause real quick. Think about it. Look at these animals. Think about what do you think eats what before we go on. I'll get count down from 5 and I'll get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So carrots. Carrots are ate by rabbits and mice. Grass. Grass is ate by the rabbit. It's ate by the mice. It's ate by the grasshopper. All right. Grains. You're looking at mice. You're looking at grasshoppers. Even looking at birds. Birds will eat grains. So all the plants have been ate. Now we move up. What eats the rabbit? Well, a fox would eat a rabbit. And if it's a little small baby rabbit, an owl may eat it. Just so you know, owls don't chew, they swallow everything whole. What eats the mice? Let's go with an owl's going to eat a mice, and sometimes a fox, if they're hungry, is going to eat a mice. What eats the grasshopper? Well, probably the bird. The bird's probably going to be ate by the grasshopper. And birds. What's going to eat the bird? All right, the bird is probably going to get ate by the owl and probably by the fox. The fox, is anything going to eat it? No, it's one of the top people. And owls, nothing really going to eat an owl in this food chain. So we have all that. Now we're going to place all of this into the energy pyramid, the trophic levels. At the bottom are your producers. What are the producers or what are the plants in this food web? Well, you have your carrots, you got your grasses, you got your grains. Next one, primary consumers. What are eating the producers? Well, I see rabbits eat the producers, the mice, the grasshopper, I'm going to abbreviate GH, and the bird. All right. Secondary consumers eat the primary consumers. So what eats the primary consumers? Well, the rabbit is ate by the fox. The mice is ate by the fox and the owl. The grasshopper is ate by the birds. And the birds are ate by the owl and fox. Do you see how birds appear in two different levels? It can, depending on what it's eating and when it eats in the food chain of organism. Now, tertiary consumers are only things that eat the secondary consumers. Nothing eats the fox, nothing eats the owl, but the birds are ate by the fox and the owl. See how they are in two different levels at the same time? Because it just depends on where they eat in their food chain. But this is a trophic pyramid based off a food web that we created. And I really hope you learned something today. I mean, there's so many different feeding relationships out there. I would go learn it a little bit more. Go look at your favorite biome or ecosystem. If you really like the ocean, go look at one of those food webs, and see if you can make a trophic pyramid with it. But I hope you learned something today. I'm Mr. Norris, and I'm signing out for this video.